Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard the Wright Flyer. As always, this is your captain, Randy Wright speaking, and I'd like to take this opportunity to personally thank you for choosing to fly over the friendly airwaves with us here at our state-of-the-art radio program, Radio Aviation Excellence, the Wright Flyer. Now, folks, without any further ado, let's go ahead and delve into this episode's topic, because it's a big one. Now, one of the things we've noticed time and again, particularly with the fanatical left, particularly of late, they have been becoming increasingly unhinged. Their visions of what America's supposed to be, their ideas on what the scope and proper application of government is, are completely and totally out of line with how our foundational documents have defined our nation and how our founding fathers had ever intended for our nation to work. Because they want the government to be more intrusive on the facets of our daily lives. But more than that, they've shown that they are wholly divided from the rest of us in what they view as normal and as what they view as being like tyrants of the past, for want of a better term. And when they go out and make these displays, it just shows how detached they are from reality. To give you an idea of what I'm talking about, I want to look at something that came out of Florida. This is shocking. It's by Andrew Mark Miller over at Fox. The article is entitled, DeSantis's Democrat Challenger Compares Him to Hitler, quote, in a lot of ways. And his challenger's name is Nikki Fried, aged 44, claimed, "I saw the rise of Hitler." This sort of incendiary language has no place in modern America, because it is designed wholly to drive the wedge of divide and division and derision into the heart of our country. But it does show how they think and what they think. And truth be told, it is atrocious. But anyway, the Florida Agriculture Commissioner and Democrat gubernatorial candidate Nikki Fried sat down for an interview Friday and compared Florida's Republican Governor Ron DeSantis to Nazi leader Adolf Hitler, stating, quote, "Instead of listening and trying to govern with the people, he is trying to govern over the people. And you know that I'm sorry, I'm a student of history too. I saw the rise of Hitler," Fried, 44, told podcast co-host Melissa Ross on Florida Public Radio on Friday regarding Florida's Republican Governor Ron DeSantis. Well, I too am a student of history, and a far better one than Mr. Fried is, or Miss Fried, or whatever Fried is. The simple fact of the matter is, Ron DeSantis is far from being like Hitler. Ron DeSantis has served this country as a member of the JAG Corps. He understands the Constitution, and he has stood up to defend the Constitution. He is an able governor, and he has governed the state of Florida quite well. The fact that this contender, the Agriculture Commissioner of Florida, is saying such wanton things, wild things, with no corroboration, with no supporting evidence, just as a matter of opinion, and poor opinion at that, is both sickening and disgusting. But ladies and gentlemen, this goes to show there really is this sort of mentality on the left that just is bizarre. What I mean by that is that they will go to extremes, calling anybody who disagrees with them for any reason whatsoever Nazis or fascists or hateful people or bigots. We've seen it all the time. They did it with former President Trump. They do it with anybody who disagrees with them. They've done it to the parents who didn't want critical race theory crammed down their children's throats because they didn't want their children to be corrupted with cultural Marxism. but there's something more to it. And literally, the aspect and attribute that goes more to it, and what I'm getting at here, is that they are using this as a device to silence any and all opposition, to chill opposition to their thoughts and to their approach. Why? Because, again, as I have stated numerous times on previous episodes, they know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that their ideology cannot compete in the free market of ideas because it is an intellectually bankrupt mindset. It is an intellectually disingenuous mindset. And truth be told, the American people have started to see through this. They really have. But let's go back to the article. When Ross asked Fried, okay, it is a she, when Ross asked Fried if she was making a direct comparison between DeSantis and Hitler, the agricultural commissioner said, quote, "In a lot of ways, yes. In a lot of ways, yes." Here's what I don't understand. Why is she sitting there making it conditional? Because if you're going to go out there and make it, you might as well embrace such a stupid position wholeheartedly to show the world just how moronic and idiotic you truly are. I mean, we've seen the Democrats do this over and over and over again to the point of it reaching ad nauseum, but they're going to try and lie and say, well, you see, in a lot of ways, but not in every way. And therefore, I'm going to sit there and say it's weaselly that, I'm not saying that as a direct comparison, but I'm saying it as a bovine excrement comparison because I am a bovine excrement artist. That's what these people truly are, and it really is sickening. She goes on, "I have studied Hitler and how he got to power, wanting his own militia," Fried explained, referencing DeSantis' move to reestablish the state guard, which 22 other states also utilize in case of emergencies. If she's talking about the Freikorps or the SA, she's a bumbling idiot. They were in no way, shape, or form the same thing that the state guards are. This is ridiculous. And it shows that if she is a student of history as she claims, then she needs to go back to her teachers and admonish them for failing her. Because they didn't teach her the proper history of the United States. It's disgusting. Why did we have a state guard? It's to ensure that the state's interests are protected and that they can serve as an auxiliary to the National Guard and to various other elements within either the military or within the law enforcement agencies to ensure the peace and tranquility of the state. Every state has that right because they are quasi-sovereigns. That is part of the tenets of federalism. Clearly, this witch does not understand that. Clearly, she does not. Quote, "The reason why this governor wants it is different than the other states that have been utilizing it for emergency purposes," Fried added. Really? How does she know this? She goes on, quote, "The governor is doing it for the sole purpose of power and is doing so to make fear and blaming certain parts of our society and culture. And that's exactly what Hitler did to the Jews back during World War II. Oh, grow up and shut up. Who is it that's pushing critical race theory? It's the Democrat Party and Joe Biden. It's her party. It's her ilk. And I would not be surprised in the least bit if she, too, is very supportive of those things. But let's continue. Fried was then asked about those who think it's offensive to make Hitler comparisons and suggested that politicians who do so have lost the plot. Not at all, she said. I mean, look, do I think we are going to get to the extent of Hitler's power? Fried responded, of course not. But the rise of his power and what he did to scapegoat certain parts and certainly the Jewish community in Germany, and how he utilized going after the media, going after and scapegoating people and blaming people and putting fear and taking over the military, that's what this governor is doing, close quote. What on earth is she even talking about? This sort of thing is ridiculous. It's unhinged, and it shows just how detached the Democrats are from reality. If this is the sort of thing they're going to be doing, then they deserve to lose. Of course, I've always said that they deserve to lose because they are going against the clear and concise language of the Constitution. Look at how they have tried to do it with the mask mandates and the vaccine mandates, which just got shot down. Look at how they tried to do it with race-based farming initiatives in the $1.9 trillion COVID relief package that Biden had first proposed very early in his presidency. All of these things were shut down and shot down as extra-constitutional. Those are much more fascistic and dictatorial than anything that Governor DeSantis has done. And I love it. It's projectionism, particularly when she's sitting there talking about the fear that he's causing and that he's basically engaging in divide and conquer by pitting us versus them. And scapegoating people. That's what the Democrats have been doing this entire time. What do you think critical race theory is? What do you think this cultural Marxism that they have embraced wholeheartedly is? Time and time again, this is what they do over and over and over again, and yet they use the whole notion of basically deflection and projection to put that on everyone else, to hide what it is that they are truly about. And that is sickening and disgusting. It really is. DeSantis' press secretary, Christina Pusha, told Fox News in a statement that Fried's comments trivialize the atrocities committed by Hitler. And they do. Nikki Fried's claim that Governor DeSantis is a modern-day Hitler is as offensive as it is absurd, Pusha said. With this hysterical comparison, Fried not only smears millions of Floridians as Nazis, but also trivializes Hitler's crimes against humanity. What a great response, because that is right on the money. That is exactly what this little witch is doing. And it should be ostracized and condemned in the most ardent and stringent of terms, because that is unacceptable. This sort of unhinged nonsense is deplorable, and yet they called us the deplorables. The Florida gubernatorial primary is set to take place in August. Fried will square off against former Florida Governor Charlie Crist. Good Lord, that guy just won't disappear either, will he? And others, in hopes of moving on to the general election against DeSantis in November. Honestly, ladies and gentlemen, if this is the best they have, if this is what they're going to be foisting upon us, they deserve to lose. And it's almost guaranteed that they will lose. But I don't want us to take this for granted, because there is an important lesson to take from this. Everywhere we turn, we see that they are casting these ridiculous comparisons, which are all designed to shut down discourse. They're all designed to shift blame and to basically sweep under the rug all of their faults, all of their failings. And make no mistake about it, this is all intentional. They want us to be afraid. They want us to be in the grips of division and derision, and they are doubling down on it, because this, to their mind, is the only way that they can secure power, because they see that the political tides are turning against them. And just look at the polls. Biden's support is collapsing. It's cratering before his very eyes. Not that he can understand it. the Democrat policies and legislative agenda is all but stalled. And in-party fighting is failing. You know that they even tried to compare those who stood up in defense of the filibuster, and even though I don't really like Kirsten Sinema and Joe Manchin, per se, they are at least standing up to their party. Because they're basically representing their constituents. That is exactly what they are supposed to do. That is exactly what all senators are supposed to do. But what you can see here from the general Democrat Party and from people like this Nikki Fried character is that her brain is fried, and that their brain is fried, and that they are essentially delving into hysteria to gain political points. But what they don't recognize is that the American people see right through this. We are used to the sort of chicanery that they have been putting forth, because they do it over and over and over again, and it becomes predictable. They did it in 2020. They do it in 2021. They're still doing it now. And it is all to deflect and to deny. And then, when it really comes back to haunt them, they will throw their hands up and say, oh, well, look, it's just those evil Republicans. They are the ones that have caused the division. Ignore all that we have done. Ignore all of the times that we have used incendiary language and that we have gone out of our way to double down on these radical, hysterical histrionics that have no place in an open, honest, but above all, free society. Again, ladies and gentlemen, this is why I stress that it is so important that we be proactive in the looming midterm elections this November. And I think that we should be, those of you at least in Florida, should be proactive in your gubernatorial primaries as well. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for choosing to fly with us. I hope to see you again next time. Please do take care.